Hello everyone and welcome back to the Paul Show. My name is Paul and today we're going to talk about why our government really sucks here in the United States, yet it is still better than the majority of governments out there on the planet. Now, this is just my opinion. It does not mean that these are all facts, right? I just made a pretty bold statement. However, I would rather have a lot of the things that we have here than what a lot of the other governments on the planet have. Now, that doesn't mean that our government is perfect. It is incredibly far from perfect, and it was actually designed with a lot of flaws within it. Starting off with number one, the number one reason why our government sucks, and also why it is good, which it seems like that's a contradiction, but hear me out, it is that we have a two-party system. Right? So now our two-party system, what we see is that it has created a lot of fighting within our country. We have Republicans and Democrats. However, the real life story of everybody out there is that they're not that polarized, right? Some people have some liberal ideologies, while others have more conservative ideologies, but everybody has a mixture of both, and they both can listen to logic and reason. So our two-party system is great because we don't have 30 or 40 different parties that are splitting up votes, and nobody is getting any majority of the vote, right? So that's the great aspects of it. We don't have minority rule based off of multiple party systems, right? So that's good. Like, big groups of people are being somewhat better represented, possibly. I mean, you can add your input on that one. So I am a supporter and a hater of the two-party system. I'm still going to say it's one of the reasons why our government sucks, though, because we're not supposed to have a stagnant two-party system. For over 100 years, our parties haven't changed hardly at all, right? And what's happening is that people are being entrenched in their political views that these parties are the one right party, right? And that causes a massive problem when people refuse to listen or refuse to think that maybe like these methods of governing are wrong. And that's the other part we have to remember. They're methods of governing. It is not a political team. It is not a religion. We shouldn't treat them like teams or political religions. They're methods of governing and the efficiency of governing people. One group has more liberal ideology. The other group has more conservative ideology. You can always go check out Hobbes and Locke and all of those theories out there, but I don't want to bore you with that stuff. Anyways, that's my number one reason of why the government sucks. On to our next topic, which is another very polarizing topic. A lot of people from the cities have one opinion, other people from the rural areas have another opinion, and that is the Electoral College. Now, I believe the Electoral College is absolutely crucial for the United States. We need the Electoral College to function and to maintain our unitedness, right? Otherwise, the big states with high populations will boss around the small states all of the time. If we didn't have the Electoral College, the larger states would be able to control the federal government at all times with their selection of the president. That is why it's so important, because living in Los Angeles, which has millions upon millions of people, it's not the same as living in the rural areas, right? So we need to maintain this unitedness even through our vast differences within the country. So the Electoral College allows for equal representation in some ways, right? That's going to be a polarizing statement. But trust me, when it comes down to it, we need to have an even balance within our country where, yes, your say matters. It can throw things off. It can be almost the total opposite of equal representation. But the people in Wyoming are just as important as the people in New York. They are just as important as the people in California or Florida or Louisiana or Michigan, right? Everybody needs to have some level of equal representation, and the states are so different that we need equal representation amongst the states, or at least a weighted average of representation within the United States. That is actually a big problem, or somewhat of a big problem. We need to figure out a new method, or we can adjust the method to some degree, right? We don't want cities controlling the entire country, but we still need better representation. And the next really big reason why I think our government sucks is because of who we have in power. Now, I am not talking about the political side of things, right? Not political affiliation. I really don't care about Democrats or Republicans as long as they have some sound, logical reasoning behind how they're governing us. What I do care about is the fact that they are all ancient human beings. They are far too old. They cannot use technology, or they fail to use technology. They can't ask the proper questions to these CEOs of the tech companies, such as Mark Zuckerberg, YouTube, any of these guys. It's a really, really, really big problem when they're the ones that are governing these things. So during the birth, the early years, and the teenage years of one of the most advanced technologies on the planet, the internet, we've had a very old population governing this technology, which is a massive problem. The internet, different tech companies have been able to exploit the fact that these old people do not understand what they're talking about. Now, I am very sorry if you are part of this older population, and I am being very critical of your ability to govern this country. However, when you think about the age of our founding fathers, they were all in their early 30s, some maybe in their 40s, but none of them, except for Benjamin Franklin, was in his 70s. The other reason why I am so hypercritical of the older generation governing our country is that they have done it for so long. They have taken power in like the 1960s, 1970s, and they've never let it go at all. Now, the number one counter argument to this is that with age comes more responsibility, more wisdom, all of these other types of benefits that we view the elderly population as having, which is absolutely not true if you've actually worked with some of them. Now, that's pretty mean, I'm sorry, but it's incredibly true. I've personally had to lecture people that are twice my age for doing things that are absolutely idiotic. So just because you're old doesn't mean that you're smart or you know what you're talking about. I mean, take for instance when our government was having Zoom meetings and half of them were having problems unmuting their computers, yet they are the ones that are in charge of these things, right? So that's a big issue. Big issue. A really nice, easy solution to this problem is to set age limits. These people should not be getting into office if they are closer to dying. Okay? I'm sorry, but if you're in your 70s, you should not be running for any political office because all you're in there for is for the short term. If you're planning on living until you're 120, which most likely you're not going to, you shouldn't be in the government. You should pay the consequences with your life. Not with your life. That sounds so extreme. No. You should pay the consequences of your actions inside of the government. You should have a lifespan after your government, or your time inside of the government. You should not be dying inside of office, right? Unless you're probably a Supreme Court justice. Sorry, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but yeah, I mean, you're really old. You were really old. That's insane. A really good example of this being a problem is the stimulus packages and what they have allowed the Federal Reserve to do on the markets because of the retirement funds, right? So who are they protecting by protecting the retirement funds and the retirement packages in this country? Yes, they're protecting the economic status of our country and the well-being of people in our country, but they are also really protecting themselves. They are the ones with the most money inside of the stock market, so of course they're going to approve the Federal Reserve to take actions to protect the stock market to the fullest extent that it can. That is a huge problem, and we're going to pay for it. The millennials, the Gen Z, the Gen X, we're all going to pay for it. So yes, we're going to pay for it, but how do things get better? How do we improve these parts to our government? Well, the really big thing is that the younger generation, that's the first thing, the younger generation has to take over. We have to start to run for political office. We have to start to become politically active, but not in the way that they want us to. We can't play by their game anymore. This game doesn't work long term. It's not going to work into our future. We have to come up with new methods of governing and apply them. There's going to be a lot of experimental type of things, but with more and more technology coming out, being more experimental is going to be great because we can be more adaptable, we can change things around, we can govern more efficiently than what they're doing right now. It is an old, stagnant government with an old, stagnant population running it, but they're controlling a population of much younger people, and that is one of my biggest issues within our government. We are getting to the end of the video, and I really just wanted to take a second and let you guys know that, hey, I really appreciated that you guys watched this video. I hope that you like the video. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you comment down below. I would love to interact with you guys. I want to hear your thoughts on our government. What are your number one issues, your big issues with our government? Post them down below, and let's start talking about these things and see if we can come up with a new solution. or a better solution, or something, right? Anything is better than what we have going on right now. My name is Paul. That was The Paul Show. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will be getting back to you guys another time. Have a good day.